Okay, it's 6:30. It's 6:30. I'm going to go ahead and call to order the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Tuesday, September 21st, and we do have a quorum present. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes, and we had a correction, a typo that was, I think, corrected for the meeting. Okay. So if there are no other additions or corrections, may I have a motion?
Move to approve with the corrections.
Motion by Karen.
Second.
Second by Sheila. Can we vote now?
To be open, yes. Jordan, would you hit that again?
Mine's lagging behind a little bit. It's logged in as guest for some reason.
Do you, I don't know, if you want to let me know your vote, I can record it.
Aye.
Okay, votes passed 6-0. The next item on the agenda is a public hearing for plats. This public hearing is the final plat of the Santos Edition, lots 1 and 2, block 1 and 1 associated variance request to allow front entry on .999 acres out of the E. Pickett survey, abstract number 1014, zoned single-family residential district, located at 736 South Poydras Street, being a replat of Lot 1, Block A, Santos Edition.
Yes, good evening, Commissioners. So we did see this plat before you once. It has now been properly noticed as a residential replat with a variance, so the public notifications were sent to all property owners within 200 feet and posted in the paper per state law. We've not received any real responses in opposition or support. We did have one inquiry just asking what the variance was for, and it's for the no alleys. No one on Poydras Street has alleys, so it seems logical to continue that trend.
Okay.
So staff's recommendation is to recommend approval of the variance to City Council and disapproval of the plat, delegating authority to approve the plat to staff once all the other deficiencies are corrected, and bring back for signatures.
So are we only voting on the variance, or are we voting on the plat as well?
The variance and the plat.
Okay, so we're disapprove on the plat and approval of the variance. Okay. Are there any questions for Michelle or staff? Any comments? Okay, I'm going to go ahead then and open the public hearing. Having no one come forward, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Commissioners, do we have any comments, concerns? Okay, if not, may I have a motion, please?
Move to approve the variance and disapprove the plat.
Second. Motion by Karen and the second by Francis. Does this motion include the ability for staff to correct the deficiencies? And bring back to the chair for signature?
Correct.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't complete that.
Karen and Jordan, are your screens working?
No.
No, yours isn't. Karen, is yours working? Oh,
I'm sorry.
can you hit your button again, Karen?
Voting?
The voting button. There we go.
Finally, it came up. Yeah.
Jordan, do you want to voice vote for me?
Aye.
Thank you. I'm sorry, we'll get that looked at tomorrow.
No problem.
Motion passes
Yeah.
6-0. The next item is a regular hearing, the final plat of Cottages at Castle Hills Edition containing 52 residential lots and 4 HOA lots and 1 associated variance request related to the right-of-way width on 8.448 acres out of the A. Singleton Survey, abstract number 1138, and the Benjamin Schoonover Survey, abstract 1209, for the zoning designation of Townhouse 2 District, located on the west side of Lady Tessela Drive, approximately 90 feet south of Morrell Drive.
Good evening, Commissioners. Staff has reviewed the final plat of Cottages at Castle Hills Edition. They do have one associated variance going for City Council consideration for approval October 18th. This is in the Castle Hills area, so staff recommends that the Planning and Zoning Commission disapprove the final plat for deficiencies listed above and delegate to staff ability to accept and approve the final plat once listed deficiencies are corrected pending the variance approval from City Council.
Okay, thank you, June. Do we have any questions for staff? Comments, concerns? If not, then may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I recommend that I move that we disapprove the final plat of the Cottages at Castle Hills Additions for the deficiencies noted and delegate it to the staff to accept and approve once the deficiencies have been corrected.
Including the pending variance?
Yes.
Thank
I said
you.
that for the deficiencies.
Motion by Sheila,
Second.
second by Francis.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. The next item is a public hearing. It's a consideration of a special use permit for a contractor's yard with more than 10% outside storage on approximately 6.58 acre tract of land described as a portion of land out of the J.W. King Survey, abstract number 695, and the J.H. Havens Survey, abstract number 541, located on the east side of South Railroad Street, approximately 1,300 feet south of State Highway 121 Business. This is zoned heavy industrial district as requested by Stephen Homeyer, Homeyer Engineering Incorporated, on behalf of David Jones, 121 Railroad Avenue LLC, the property owner.
Madam Chair, I think we skipped item D4, which was another plat. We can take the items out of order if you would wish.
Did I not get? Oh, you're right. I did. I'm sorry. Yes, since I've gone ahead and read that, let's go ahead and do this one then. I'm sorry, I missed that one.
Good evening, Commissioners. The special use permit for John Burns Construction was first brought forward to you back in January of this year. It was approved by City Council on February 1st. The applicant is looking to make changes to that approved special use permit and is asking for a recommendation of approval for these changes. So quickly, this was a contractor's yard with more than 10% outside storage off of Railroad Street. The proposed changes are to modify the building and driveway north on the proposed lot. The acreage of this site is increasing roughly 2 acres, and with that, the outside storage is increasing roughly 15,000 square feet. Due to the new lot configurations, the applicant is now proposing additional landscaping along Railroad Street, which previously wasn't present. I wanted to make a quick correction to the staff memo I had provided. I had listed that there was a reduction from 2 monument signs to 1. This was an error. They're still keeping the 2 monument signs, one off of Railroad Street and another closer to the building on this site. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have regarding this special use permit. And Jose from Homeyer Engineering is here as well.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Commissioners, are there any questions for staff? Any comments? Discussion? Okay, I'm going to go ahead now and open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this item, please come forward, state your name. Having no one come forward, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. And Commissioners, if there are no additional comments or concerns, discussion, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move for the approval of the special use permit as presented.
Motion is by Sheila,
Second?
second by Jordan. Any vote?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you, Commissioners. This item will be appearing before City Council on October 18th for a second and final public hearing.
Thank you. Okay, let me go back up to number 4. I'm so sorry I missed this one. This is a regular hearing, preliminary plat of Bunker Hill Edition containing 3 commercial lots on 11.2515 acres out of the P. Higgins survey, abstract number 525, zoned light industrial and agricultural open space. It's located at the southwest termination of Bunker Hill Lane.
Good evening, Commissioners. And this plat actually did come before you previously as a final plat, but since then the applicant went and obtained more land to incorporate into the development. And so because we're changing up some of the boundaries that are not in alignment with the Denton CAD Appraisal District records, we are doing a preliminary plat to just make sure that we're catching everything before we move on to final plat. Staff has provided a list of deficiencies and is recommending disapproval of the preliminary plat due to those deficiencies, and delegation to staff the authority to approve once the deficiencies are corrected. We will bring the plat back to the chair for signature.
Thank you. Are there any questions for staff? Commissioners, any discussion? If not, then may I have a motion?
I make a motion to disapprove due to the deficiencies and delegate to staff authority to approve once the deficiencies are corrected, and to bring back to the chair for signature.
The motion is by Francis.
Second.
Second by Karen. Now vote.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. Okay, the next item on the agenda now is announcements. It's a presentation by city staff related to the bond election called for November 2nd, 2021.
Good evening, Commissioners. It's my pleasure to give you a brief overview of the upcoming bond election. The City Council called a bond election for November the 2nd, 2021, so that Louisville residents can decide on whether to issue debt in the amount of $95 million for a planned public safety complex. Voters will be able to vote for or against, and this will be the only proposition that will be on the ballot. A majority of 4 votes will be required for the proposition to pass. Would note that the November 2nd ballot will also include proposed amendments to the Texas Constitution. So this is the approved ballot language on this slide. It'll be stated as Proposition A, the issuance of $95 million of general obligation bonds for public safety facilities, including fire facilities, emergency services facilities, and police facilities. And then voters will be given the option of voting for or against. This slide actually contains the language from the authorizing ordinance that was approved by the council. I will not read through this as it is quite lengthy, but it is provided here for your information. This also appears on the city's website. We have quite a few commonly asked questions related to the bond election, and I'll cover quite a few of those this evening. First question is, why is the cost of the proposed complex so high? The square footage of or the cost per square foot for a public safety building is much higher than typical construction for residential, retail, or office. And it's because this is a highly specialized building. It has highly specialized design and equipment needs. The most expensive areas of the proposed facility are included in the dispatch center, the fire apparatus bays, the holding areas, property and evidence rooms, crime labs, emergency operations centers, and locker rooms. So it has a multitude of specialized functions. Probably one of the most expensive items associated with the facility is the fact that the building has to be built to extraordinary standards so that it will withstand 250-mile-an-hour winds if it is struck directly by a tornado. And the whole purpose of this strengthened design is because the fire and police personnel basically have to remain in work in those type of conditions and carry out their operations in times of a disaster. So therefore, that's probably one of the reasons why the building is so expensive. But again, that relates directly to the protection of our residents so that our personnel can carry out their duties in those times of emergency. Another common question is, would this increase our property tax rate? The answer is no. City staff has determined that no property tax rate will be needed to fund the bond package as proposed. And there are several reasons why this can be done. Number one is that we have existing capacity under the portion of our tax rate that's dedicated to debt payments. Also, the city has been very conservative in retiring debt. We've typically retired debt after 16 years. We've also refunded debt when we have opportunities at lower interest rates when they are available. Another major factor is the city's AAA bond rating that gives us access to extremely low interest rates in the current market. And then another factor that is in our favor is the fact that we have very positive future growth in our tax base. Also want to note too that we maintain one of the lowest property tax rates in North Texas. Let me go back one here. Another question, common question is, where will this new public safety complex be located? It'll be located near the northwest corner of Main Street and Valley Parkway, where the current police building and fire station number 1 are located. And you do have an image here, a conceptual image of what that new facility will look like. Another question is, what new public safety facilities would be included within this complex? By combining the public safety administration in a single complex would allow fire, police, and emergency management the ability to share training and administrative space. Proposed features include the hardened emergency operations center and public safety dispatch center that'll be able to withstand tornado force winds, as I mentioned earlier. It will also, a very key factor to this facility will be a backup generator that will be sufficient to prevent prolonged power losses, similar to what occurred this past February when we had the week of below freezing temperatures. Fire station number 1 will be expanded. It currently has 3 apparatus bays. The new facility will have 5, and that will accommodate all of the equipment and staffing that will take care of our future growth. Another element of the facility will be a 2-story parking garage that will provide secure parking and building access for employees. And it will also provide protected parking for our special unit vehicles that are currently often parked in unsecured areas. An additional question is, how long would this building address the City of Louisville's public safety needs? Based on a very thorough study of our current and future needs, the proposed complex is designed to address all needs in both departments through the full build-out of the city. Another common question is, how old are the current buildings that would be replaced? The original fire department building was opened in 1984 and expanded in 1987. It covers almost 25,000 square feet. Fire Station 1 opened in 1975, and it was expanded in 1997. So therefore, these buildings are primarily obsolete. It would cost far more to refurbish them than to build the new facility. The current facility covers about a little over 37,000 square feet. This next slide is just a kind of a conceptual schematic of how the space would be allocated in the new facility. The gray is that is illustrated on here is the footprint of the existing jail that will remain in place. The fire station would be shown near the bottom in the light pink. The darker pink on the second floor would be the fire administrative support, and then the darker red color would be fire administration staff. The yellow areas would be shared areas that would be shared between police and fire. Police support is shown in light blue, and then police staffing would be shown, or is shown in the darker blue color. As far as early voting, the portions of Louisville that's in Denton County, residents in the Denton County portion of Louisville will have the opportunity to vote at the municipal annex, at Thrive, at the Denton County Administration, or any designated early voting sites within Denton County. The early voting period begins on October 18th and ends on Friday, October 29th. And the hours are listed here. Monday the 18th through Saturday the 23rd is 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sunday the 24th is 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Then the final week, Monday the 25th through Friday, October 29th is 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. For Louisville residents that reside in Dallas County, they will have the opportunity to vote at Capel Town Center, the George Allen Senior Courts Building in downtown Dallas, or any other designated early voting site in Dallas County. It's still the same early voting period, beginning on Monday the 18th and ending on Friday, October 29th. And those times for the first week, Monday through Friday, will be 8 a.m. through 5 p.m., Sunday the 24th, 1 to 6. And then the final week, the 25th to the 27th, will be 8 a.m. or actually Monday through Wednesday will be 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then the final 2 days, Thursday and Friday, the 28th and 29th, will be 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then if there are any questions on Election Day, which will be Tuesday, November the 7th, polls will be open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And polling places are assigned by precinct. So voters will have to go to their assigned precinct to vote on Election Day. If anyone has any questions regarding early voting or Election Day voting locations, we urge you to contact the City Secretary's office at the number listed on the slide. And then if there are any additional questions or if you'd like additional information, you can go to the city's website. There's a dedicated page for the bond election, or you could use the attached or the QR code that appears here on the slide. So with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Richard, what are the police and fire going to be doing while these buildings are being redone? Where will they be situated?
That has not been finalized at this time. Once the outcome of the election is determined, then more detailed plans will be made, and there will be other different functions will be housed in different locations across the city, but the definite plan has not been established yet.
Okay.
But they will be able to offer full operations in alternative locations. It'll be temporary sites while construction is ongoing.
Okay.
I had a question. That actually was my question. I wanted to know how long you expected, or it was expected, for the construction to take place, and what would happen to the existing departments where they would be housed. So thank you for asking that question. My other one was related to, and I can't remember what slide, but it was regarding the increase, if there was a possible increase in property tax rates, and there were quite a few assumptions made. If something happens and those assumptions are not materialized, and maybe this is me asking questions about municipal operations and precedents, if one of those don't materialize, is there ever a point where you would have to increase property tax? Like, is that something that could happen if either one of these, you know, we were saying projected future growth in tax base, for example, if that didn't materialize, you know, what happens? Do we then go back and increase property tax rates? Would you have to go back to the voters?
And I can't give you a guarantee on that, but I would state that it's very unlikely that we would, if either one or two of these bullet points shown here do not materialize. Due to the city's excellent management of our finances over many decades, we were able, you know, that's why we have been able to achieve the AAA bond rating. And we have weathered storms in the past, economic storms. I think the last 2 years has probably been the biggest test the city has ever experienced due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And we really performed quite well through that storm. It did not have to go in, it did not impact any of our debt. So I think that was probably one of our best indicators as far as not having to impact our property tax rate.
And then my other question was regarding the same slide, projected future growth in the tax base. Is that commercial? I guess when I think residential, it feels like residential has already been built out for Louisville.
There will be still some residential growth in the city, but that is based on all growth, both
Okay,
residential and commercial.
and
Yes.
Residential, okay. I'm sorry, I made some notes while you were talking. I'm just making sure I asked all my questions.
No problem.
I think that was it. I guess you know, just one comment. This was a great presentation, by the way. And the thing about, you know, voters, it's about being educated. So I guess I wanted to know what outreach or whatever had been done to ensure that this has the best chance of passing. Has there been focus groups or communication sent to voters or to say what this is exactly?
I believe last night, James Kunke, our Director of Communications, and I'm trying to think of his title. He has a very long title. He's also part of Community Relations, yes. And event, community events. He mentioned to the council last night that once we get past the upcoming Western Days next weekend, they've got kind of a full deployment plan on deploying the educational materials to the various segments of the community.
Okay.
So that is.
That would be helpful because I know for me, when I saw it, you know, whenever I see any time to spend a whole bunch of money as a CPA, you know, I'm going to have those kinds of questions. And my first thought was, well, you know, I don't know that we need this, but I didn't realize also that the buildings were so old and obsolete. And I think that, you know, is a good point to get across to the average voter.
And some other facts related to that too. You know, when the original buildings were built and even when the expansions were done in '97, the city was much smaller, had much lesser needs at the time.
That's right.
Richard, may I add that this came before the 2025 committee before the last bond election, and we had intended at that time to add a floor to the present police structure. And so it has been vetted all the way back to 2014, that it's been considered and discussed on what we needed and where it needed to happen. It's not a new process.
Yes, it has. Thank you very much for adding that. It has something that the city's been looking at for many years. The needs have been growing over time, and I think it's something that has to will need to be addressed here in the very near future.
If there's a surplus of the bond funds at the end of that main project, is there so much to do across other facilities in the city that there wouldn't be any money left, or is there a chance that there would be some extra money, and how would that be allocated if that's the case?
needs in other facilities will be addressed with other funds. The bond election is, will have to specifically address this project. And as complex as it is, most projects like this typically have add alternates to it. You know, if some areas of it come in, you know, under projections, then some of those other funds can be used to fund some of the other unfunded items that are going to be optional. Well, if there are not any other questions, I know we're in the announcements portion of our agenda. I would mention that all 7 commissioners are registered for the upcoming Texas American Planning Association Conference in Fort Worth. So mark your calendars on Tuesday and Wednesday, November 2nd and 3rd. Y'all are all registered for a virtual registration. And if you're unable to tune in to any of the sessions live, you will have the ability to watch the sessions at a future date. So there will be a great lineup of very good sessions that I think all of you will find to be very interesting. You all should have received an email with your passcode that you'll need. If you have misplaced that, I do have a copy of that, but I believe Texas APA will also be sending out reminders as we get a little bit closer. But I wanted to mention it now to make sure everyone gets that on their calendars and to make y'all aware of that coming up here a little over a month.
Okay, thank you.
And if you have any questions related to the conference, just let me know. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Thank you. Okay, I think at this time we're ready to adjourn. May I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Francis,
Second.
second by Alvin.
Nobody wants to leave.
Jump in there, Alan.
Vote now.
Mary Ellen, oh, there you go.
Motion passes 6-0. We are adjourned.